大家好，歡迎嚟到新一集嘅相聚一刻。咁今日咧，我嘅特別嘉賓咧係 Angela Spaxman。咁今日咧，我哋嘅 interview 咧，我哋嘅訪問咧係會用英文嚟去即係去進行嘅。咁所以咧，我就要轉台㗎啦。Okay, so Angela, thank you so much to come into our show.
Thank you very much. Yeah, really my pleasure, Esther.
So Angela was my coach like over 20 years ago.
Yes, was, yeah.
And at that time, being a coach is so rare in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So you are one of the most earliest coaches in Hong Kong, right?
That's right.
But why would you choose this career? But anyway, so today we're going to talk about coaching.
Yeah.
And then Angela is a very experienced and professional coach in Hong Kong, and both personal and then business and corporate, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then we will talk about all the fun things and then challenges and good things in coaching. And then we will talk about ourselves. Because lately I got eczema. And then I got also a lot of small things going on. And it took me a lot of money, a lot of time and attention. And actually finally I have to come to myself. And then you went through similar thing. So, and then we have the conclusion that people like us actually really interested in us.
Yes.
Not just the personal life, not just the corporate life or work life, but
Human
also
life.
the human life and then our body.
Yes.
And then relationships.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about coaching and then also how to coach ourselves and then understand ourselves and then study ourselves. Should we do that?
Sounds good.
Okay, so let me start. So why do you choose coaching or being a coach as a career?
Yeah.
And then you stay here for so long.
Yes. Well, actually I followed my husband here, and my old career, I could not do anything like it in Hong Kong.
Like
so,
what?
My
I'm
old career
curious.
was, I was a logging engineer in the forest industry in British Columbia.
Oh.
And so, here in Hong Kong,
You
we
were
don't-
an engineer?
Yes, I was an engineer.
I thought I knew, but
In
I
the
forgot.
forest industry, remember that? So I used to work in the woods, and that's why I love hiking so much.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, but moving to Hong Kong, I knew it's a very good career-oriented place. I'm a very career-oriented person. But it took me quite a while to figure out how to match my skills and what I could do in a completely new environment from what I was used to. And so it took me quite a few years, but eventually I discovered coaching. I was at least always interested in improving myself, and I had a lot of time at that time. I took NLP training, neuro-linguistic programming back in '99.
That was very early.
Yes, and then I discovered there was such a thing as coaching, and then at one point it was just the beginning of the internet, really. And so Coach U was the first American coaching company to really promote coaching, and I discovered their website, and I discovered the business model of coaching, that people would pay you, right?
I paid you. I did.
People would pay me to listen to them and to support them and to help them learn how to, move ahead in their lives. So it was very attractive. And as soon as I figured it out, then it was like a big light bulb moment for me, because I knew it fit me perfectly. I was so committed at that moment. It was like there was about a period of about 4 years where I really didn't know what I was supposed to be doing or what I could do or what would make me satisfied. And then when I discovered that, even though there was no proof, there was no industry of that at all in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
But I knew from overseas it was happening, or at least it looked like it was happening, and then it just fit me so well. So then I decided, okay, let's go for it. And then I took all the advice I could get, and I followed all the advice. I signed up for the training, I hired my own coach, and I just went for it. Yeah.
Actually, you're quite courageous, because at that time, I don't know anyone that was a coach or taking coaching as a career.
In fact, I think when you found me, that was a thing. It was like, wow, I didn't know we had coaches in Hong Kong.
I didn't know that there was such a profession.
Yeah.
And then turned out to be it's very structured, and it's very professional.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after like so many years, why do you still stay here? I mean, aren't you interested in other profession? Like, I don't know, singing, dancing, writing, selling?
Really not. In fact, I become more and more interested in what I'm doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
after all this time, 20 years. And, because the thing is that I'm so interested in the world and the way things work and the way human beings work. And I get to learn so much every day from my job, because I'm always listening to people. And I spend a lot of time studying, learning, taking courses, developing myself, and then I get to apply that, to all the different people that are my clients.
I can prove that you're right. Because when we just having a snack, having a bite in the restaurant, and then I was talking about my itchy neck here.
Yeah.
And then the eczema. And the eczema I had like since 3 months ago. And then I started to talk about I just find that when my friend are talking about her feed system, and then I started to feel itchy here. The more she talk about her feed system, the more I feel itchy here, and then I have to really scratch it. And then it's so obvious something is going on, that her feed system and then my value system or whatever is like clicking. And then you have to express your anger. And Andrew was like, you have to express your anger.
Yes.
And you don't judge yourself, and then you just express it.
Yes, exactly.
And then all of a sudden you become a coach again.
Because I've known you for a long time, and I know that I know it's a pattern, and also I know you're someone that will get it. Like I won't always say those things to my clients, because everybody has a different experience, different level, different willingness, different readiness to hear different messages, right? So my job is to tailor things in a way that will get through.
So can you tell us some of your interesting story, like what kind of differences you made in people's life?
Yeah. Well, the most satisfying for me, and I think the most impressive for a lot of people, is actually when there's a big change that happens.
Like,
like for example,
divorce, being fired.
Well, mostly in my work,
I was fired.
It's career related, or so like quitting is always a great thing, right? When someone quits,
or moving to another country,
or moving into a different career, or starting their own business, all those kind of things. And it is always really impressive, because when someone, for example, start your own business, no one's prepared for that. No one's born for that challenge. And so everybody has to develop, and so it takes a lot of courage. Even though, like you said, my move it sounds courageous, but often from the inside, to me, it didn't feel courageous. It felt like there's no other choice. Right?
And it's so easy. It's like,
just
flow with the flow.
Well, it didn't feel easy, but it just felt like there's no choice, so I just take one step. I just take one step forward, take the next step.
This is so interesting. When you said there's no choice, and then back then, like over 20 years ago, expats in Hong Kong, like foreigners in Hong Kong, are really advantageous. Like, there's a lot of jobs. You can be a teacher, you can be an English teacher.
Yeah.
If you go to teach in a primary school or high school, you can make a lot of money.
Yes.
And then you can finish your work after 5:30 or 5. And then you said,
back then,
you can enter
choice.
the business world.
Yeah.
You can be engineer again.
Yes.
And then you said you have no choice. But actually, because that is the choice.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is no other choice that can
In fact,
please you.
when anyone says there's no choice, it's really not true.
Not true.
Right? It's not true at all. But there were certain values I had, and certain criteria, and there were also certain fears. Like, actually, I was really afraid to go into the corporate world in Hong Kong, because I felt like I would be overwhelmed. It's too much work. I'm a Canadian. I don't work so hard.
I'm a Canadian. I love that. I'm not American.
Well, we don't work hard like Hong Kong people, right? This was my thinking.
Hong Kong people are crazy.
Crazy work hard. Yeah. So I didn't want to go in that direction. And it was funny, because as soon as I think after I had maybe my first few clients, or maybe it was even just right at the beginning, I got my first coaching client. And then something happened, and I was talking to a company that was looking to hire a certain kind of person, And they said, wow, you would be perfect for this role. But they had just filled the job. And it suddenly dawned on me about all the choices I could have had, right? Actually, all along, all those years when I was struggling, not knowing what to do, I could have had a job. And she was like, oh, wow, too bad we didn't hire you. I mean, we already hired somebody else, or else we would have jumped on someone like you. I had no idea.
Because back then, like over 20, 25 years ago, being a foreigner is really, I mean...
Right. But from my point of view, I didn't speak Cantonese or Chinese.
Who cares?
So,
who cares?
Yeah, but it's about your own point of view, right? So from my point of view, I didn't feel like I had a lot of choice. But anyway, it worked out really well because the choice that I found was so perfect. And then it was like this giant click, like, yes, this is what I want to do. And then I was so motivated, very, very motivated. And also one of my first coach, she told me, enjoy the journey. Yeah, because there was so much pressure about money, because nobody knew what was this service I was providing or how much you should charge for that. Sounds like it should be free really, right? Just talking among friends or whatever. And so it was difficult to position that, and there was a lot of growing that I had to do, learning and growing. But I did take it to heart. What she said is enjoy the journey. Yeah, because this is life, right? Even if it's ups and downs, you make your choice and then you can enjoy it. You can always enjoy it. Yeah.
I remember back then, I remember I asked you, or someone told me, I don't remember, and I said, why do we need to have a coach? Because back then, even the word coach is so rarely used in my language or in any Chinese language, okay? And then somebody said, do you have a coach when you go to try to get a driving license? I said, yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. You need to have whatever instructor or teacher when we try to apply for a driving license, right? Mm-hmm. So do you have a coach when it comes to football playing or basketball playing? Yeah, of course, right? And then how come when it comes to life, there is no coach? Mm-hmm. And then isn't life a lot more complicated than playing a football game or even mahjong in Chinese or getting a driving license? And all of a sudden I feel like, yeah.
Well, there's a big misconception about coaching, at least there certainly was back then, that it's like someone is going to tell you what to do. Because even when we think about a sports coach, you hire a tennis coach, you think they're going to tell you how to move your arms and stuff like that. But actually coaching is not like that at all. It's someone to support you and to help you find insights. Whether the insights come from the coach or very often they come from you yourself. And then it's much more aligned with what you need to learn. Yeah.
And actually being a coach, I remember that you don't tell me what to do. You just ask questions.
Yeah.
Have you done that? Yes or no?
Yeah.
If it's no, why? Why you haven't done that?
What stopped you? What's in the way? What was,
you said you wanted it.
Yeah.
And how come you didn't do it?
Yeah.
And then there are tons of questions. I didn't remember back then. I was like, oh my goodness, I pay you this money, you just ask me tons of questions? You're not going to tell me what to do? And I expect you to tell me what to do.
Did you?
Actually, I did. Because I didn't know how to work with a coach, and nobody knows how to work with a coach.
Yeah.
So we thought it was like an advisor.
Yes.
Right? But a coach is not an advisor.
No. It's quite different. Yeah.
And there was a guy, and actually Anthony Robbins once said, there was a guy who paid him $1 million US a year to be his coach. Mm-hmm. But that guy, he's actually made a lot of money, maybe a lot more than that. And of course a lot more than that. He's like a multi-millionaire. Mm-hmm. And then Anthony Robbins asked him, he said, why do you pay me so much money to be your coach? Because you're so capable and you're so successful. Mm-hmm. And why do you pay me so much money? And then that guy said, every time when I know I'm going to call you, then I have to tell you whether I have done this and whether I have done that. And then, Tony Robbins, he has such a loud voice. Yeah. He has a really loud voice. Yeah. He's like, when I just remember, just think of your face, like Tony Robbins' face, that he's going to yell at me, that you're going to yell at me, that how come you're not doing it? You said you'd do it. Then that really scared the hell out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Then he absolutely would do what he said he would do.
Right. So he's paying to get scared.
Yes. And he just paid to get the pressure. Then he has to do what he said he's going to
Right.
do.
Yes.
So I think that's one of the roles, one of
Right.
the functions, one of coaches.
It is. It can be. And of course, I'm not at all like Tony Robbins. So
you don't yell.
I don't yell, no. But sometimes, I mean, yeah, we do have this little reminder thing, right? About, oh, I have to call Angela, so I better do what I said I would do before
But
that.
actually, when we were talking in the restaurant, Angela is to me, you're a very mild person. Like, I wouldn't say marshmallow, but actually, I'm a marshmallow inside.
Yes, of course you
Yeah,
are.
so, and that's why, my outside is like,
Yeah.
I'm strong and tough, don't get on my nerves, But you, to me, is like like very mild, soft and tender. But
Good.
then when I said about, the thing
Yes.
that I just said,
Yeah. Then I
all
come
of a
alive,
sudden-
right?
Yeah. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, did I say something wrong? And you were so powerful. I mean, in a positive way, you're so powerful and so encouraging. Like,
I hope you're going to listen to what I told you.
yes,
too.
yes, yeah. You have to express your anger. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I know. Okay, I do. And that is just so you in another way.
It's
I find it very interesting.
well, what I've really understood recently about coaching, and I think it applies for any kind of healing, is it's about love. It's about loving the other person. And that's one of the things I so enjoy about my work, is that I come across all kinds of people, and I get to learn how to open my heart to all those kind of people.
Yeah, you're in a great place because you got to work with all kinds of foreigners.
Yes.
American, British, Canadian,
Hong Kong.
European, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Hong Kong maybe,
Yeah. Yes. of
mainland
course.
Hong Kong
Yeah.
maybe, and then
Japanese.
it's
Malaysians.
really wide range of cultures
Yeah.
and things.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and also a wide range of organizations. Mostly commercial organizations, mostly multinationals, but all kinds of different industries and sizes, from the huge to just tiny. And yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah, it's really fascinating.
Yeah, at that time I was working in an investment company and making a lot of money. And then when you told me the coaching thing, I was like, can you make a living out of it? I never heard of it. There is such a anyway. So
the thing is it's about what your choices are and what you want, because I get so much reward from the work itself, and also have so much freedom and control over the way my life is. It's very rare that I'm doing something I don't choose, I don't want to do, and so I don't need a lot of extra compensation. I don't need expensive holidays or expensive meals or anything. Because I enjoy what I do all the time, so that I'm very happy with the amount I'm compensated. Yeah, I feel more in control of that, I think, also.
So it's very interesting. And then last year, or the year before last year, then you started to have the back pain.
Yes. So there's so many layers of
Then
learning.
you started
right?
you have to turn down jobs.
No, but I was very distracted during that year when I had the back pain. I wasn't, in my business there's a kind of a flow. So if I'm not available, the clients don't show up. If I'm available, then the clients show up. And so I know whenever I'm distracted by something, I won't have as much business flowing in. Mm-hmm. It's blocked by my own activity, distracted on something else. Mm-hmm. So I was spending a lot of time going to an osteopath and all of this stuff, and it was just funny, because I think, like you, I knew that there's an emotional root cause to any illness that we have. Always, the illnesses happen at all different levels, so including physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. But I didn't know how to resolve it, and so I had gone down the path of physical cures, which there are so many physical possible physical cures. Look at all aspect of the body, right?
So confusing.
Very confusing.
Oh.
And
I spent tons of money last year.
Yes. And all of them sound good, right?
Yeah.
And all of them will have proponents, people who have been cured by this or cured by that.
Yeah.
So you can go down many different tracks. And but then I was so lucky because I picked up this book that somehow it was like me telling you, right? The book got through to me somehow, like, it's a suppressed anger.
What's the name of the book again?
The author is John Sarno, Sarno, and it's he's written a few different books. If you look for him on Amazon, you can see his different books. I think one's called The Mind-Body Prescription, something like that, and he is working with his specialty is all about muscles, tendons, and nerves. So anything related to muscles, tendons, and nerves, actually even the skin is related to nerves, right? So it's covering a wide range, and he's a medical doctor, and so it's very convincing the way he wrote the book, which let me immediately realize that there was some anger that I was not even aware of. So that, like, I remembered that some of my friends had said, you should be angry about that, and I was like, no, I'm not really angry. I resolved it,
I said it a lot actually.
I did a lot of meditation.
I'm not angry. Don't mention it. I'm fine. Hey, I'm a woman.
And actually, I didn't feel angry.
Yeah, me neither.
But then,
I didn't feel the anger.
But then I looked at it, when I looked at it logically, I realized, it would make sense that I would be angry. And also then when I looked at it at the point of view of different aspects of myself. So 5-year-old Angela, if this had happened to her, would she be angry?
And the answer is?
Yes. Furious, right? Raging inside. And adult Angela was not letting her out in any way. In fact, there's certain personality types which are more likely, like people who are more controlled or very conscientious, people who put a lot of pressure on themselves and want to be perfect, or who just are very nice, or also trying to do good, things like that. So, I mean, some of that describes me. And so then I was then the secret to the book is it all about information. And his cure is all about information. All you have to do is understand and be fully convinced that it is an emotional, that your illness, whatever it is, now he's not claiming all aspects of illness, but in his specialty he was saying it's an emotional cause. And if you address the emotional cause, it'll go away. And also, a big part of addressing the emotional cause is to not go down the track of any physical changes, because it will distract you. So
what does it mean? Physical changes?
So,
like what?
So for example, I had figured out that I shouldn't be sitting in a chair so much, because a chair makes your back hurt, right? Everyone knows this, very common
Especially
knowledge.
you're tall.
Right? So so sitting in a chair at a computer is supposed to be bad. And then sure enough, it's true that if I would sit in my chair and my computer, my back would start to hurt. And then I had a day where I was doing something on Skype on my laptop, and I was coaching people for like several hours, and I was sitting in a different chair, and then after that, my back was killing me. So I had figured out that if I sat in my chair, my back would hurt. So this is a belief system that I had created. Was it true? Who knows, right?
Yeah.
So it is true, because every time I did it, it would repeat itself.
You put your laptop on your
No, on a table, but it was the chair was different. So anyway, the advice from the book is, do not stop doing anything you were doing before, because it's just a fear that you've programmed into yourself, right?
This is very interesting, but we have to stop here.
Oh.
Because it's already 25 minutes.
Okay, wow, the next the sequel is coming up soon.
This is very interesting, okay. 好啦，咁我哋呢一段咧就暫時停一停啦。咁睇緊喺 YouTube 睇緊嘅觀眾咧，如果你想繼續聽埋落去嘅話咧，咁請你咧 join 我哋嘅成為一個會員啦。OK， 咁我哋要休息一陣間啦，陣間再見。 Okay, this is
So,
the
where
second
were we?
part. So we've been talking about your back pain and then the 5-year-old Angela's anger, emotional cost, and physical changes not to change. How come? Because
Yes.
I don't understand. Because one of my problem is sleeping late, like 12, 30,
Mhm.
and then I'm told that I have to be sleeping before 11. And that's, one of the biggest challenge ever in my life, because I never ever fall asleep before 11 o'clock.
Right.
12, maybe,
Yeah.
more doable.
So
but
why do you believe people that tell you that?
everybody say that.
Yeah.
Everybody say that.
Not me.
Oh, thanks God. I know why we have this conversation. So I was lying on bed like every night, and okay, I have to sleep now. But I'm really not sleepy. Okay, it's 11:30. I should be sleeping, but I'm really not sleepy. Okay, now it's 12. I should be sleeping, but I'm really not sleepy. And now it's 1:30.
Wow,
come
that's
on,
a long
it's
waste
such
of time.
Such a waste of time, and then it's so long. It's like 2 hours doing nothing, and I'm not meditating, I'm not reading, I'm not watching TV. I'm sleeping, I'm not sleeping. I'm just lying there.
Lying there.
Because people said I have to sleep, actually fall asleep, asleep before 11. So what do you mean by, the book said you don't make any physical changes?
No. Because
And why?
Well, because what happened in my case was that, and I've done it actually many times. When I look back, I've done it so many times. Whereas I create a belief system and then I reinforce it, I make it happen. So because I believed that my back would hurt when I sat in that chair in that particular way, then it did. And then as soon as I decided to challenge myself to prove it wrong, then it was not true at all. And actually, when I first figured this out, I spent maybe at least a week or maybe 2 or 3 weeks, like, kind of like tricking myself, or I was like playing with myself. For example, I would lie in the bed reading all day on a Saturday with my legs flat, which like in the past would have been killing me, right? And it didn't hurt.
But what have you done?
Nothing, just changed my mind. I just
So you
changed my
challenge the
mind.
belief,
Yes.
and then you change
I said,
it, and then it becomes okay.
maybe it's not true. I can sit in this chair as long as I want. My back's not going to hurt. What do you know? It's true, actually. So I create a belief that it will hurt, and then I created another one that it wouldn't.
Can we do that?
Well, I did it. You can try it. Yeah, try it out. And also the opposite. So like things you shouldn't do, but also things you should do. Like you should. What were some of the things? I should exercise my core, right? Everybody knows, and I have known this since I'm
Common
25
sense.
years old. I learned when I had back
Yeah.
pain, but if I exercise my core, then I don't get back pain.
Is it true?
No, it's not true. And so then I become this sort of inner rebel of like, I'm not gonna exercise my core. I don't need to, because standing, sitting, all the normal things human beings do is strong enough. Actually, my core is strong enough to hold me up. Why would it be weak to not hold me up? It's not true. So, but the thing is that, as the way we operate, our mental capacity, it enforces, it's always reinforcing the beliefs that we have. So and especially when an expert tells you, or like you said, everybody tells you, right? Everybody says this is what you should do, and therefore you believe it. And then every time you do it, you reinforce your own belief, and then it just becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. So to me, that's creating limitations in your life that you don't need, and also it's leaving you deeper into the pain because it's creating all these additional limitations. I was creating all these limitations. In fact, my osteopath had given me a wedge to wear in my shoes, so then I couldn't wear sandals anymore, because I had to have this wedge. So of course I threw that out.
Is it a little platform thing?
It was like
plastic?
my hips are not straight,
Yeah.
right? So then the only way he could make it straight was to put a little, we tried everything for a few months, and then eventually put a little platform inside the shoe.
Oh, I did it before.
Yeah.
And it was so expensive.
Well, he gave mine for free actually. I got it for free, but I paid a lot for the
one pair like
osteopath.
over 20 years ago. It was like 1,900.
Right.
And then I wear it for several times. You can't walk with that.
Well,
There's no way you can walk with that. It's so uncomfortable. I mean, uncomfortable
well, good for
in
you.
a sense.
So then you got to give it up.
And it's 1,900
Right.
Hong Kong dollars.
Wow, that's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can use that money to go to Thailand for a weekend at that time.
Be better. Yeah.
I will feel better.
Yes. Anyway, so that's amazing. I mean, to me, that's so amazing to learn the extent to which I create my reality through my belief systems, and especially through fears. This fear, because when it's a pain, there's a little bit of fear there, right? Oh, I really don't want to feel that pain. And I'm going to do anything I can to make the pain go away. But all of the stuff on the physical level none of it is about, it's nothing to do with the root cause. The root cause is not that my hips are crooked. I'm sure they're still just as crooked as they ever were. But I don't have any pain in my back anymore.
I
Because it was all created on the emotional
I don't think
level.
we can find any human being in Hong Kong or anywhere else in the world that all the structure, the bone structure is perfect.
No, exactly.
It should be tilted here. It must be tilted there, or the I
And
mean,
also
come on.
things like disc ruptures. So when you have pain in your back, and here in Hong Kong we have a lot of MRIs, right? And so of course the doctors want to give you a solution. So they'll put you in an MRI and then they'll find something. But is that something that they find actually connected to the pain? Often not. At least that was what is in this book. So I am of course not saying that there aren't
Don't go to
physical
the doctor.
things. Yeah, no, there's
No,
physical
we're not
things.
saying that.
No, we get the information from the doctors,
Yes.
but then we can also use it really wisely and not get wrapped up in things that we can solve in other ways, or at least explore some of the other ways that could be so much more efficient. $5 for a book, and
Only $5?
It was a cheap book, $5 US I bought the cheapest one first, and then I bought the others.
Well, I will try to look for it in the Kindle.
Yeah, I
must be a Kindle.
always get it at Kindle.
I was quite surprised. So you just, the back pain you had, so you just go back every time there is something wrong or some pain in your body, you just go back to check what the real problem is.
In fact, you know what? I don't even need to know. I don't even need to know. I just know that
What you believe.
It's something that I did on an emotional level. That's my first call. And then I won't create any additional systems around it. Like I have sometimes pain in my hip, and I still sometimes might have it, and then it'll go away in a day or two without me needing to do anything. Or earlier this year I had this weird kind of pain, quite strong pain here on both sides, and when I was sleeping then it would be really painful, like lying on it. So I didn't ignore it, but I noticed it, and then I just let it go, really. Just let's see, I'll wait for it to go away, and maybe think about, well, what's going on in my life right now that might be creating what are some emotions that I'm not expressing, or something I'm feeling that I'm kind of shutting out. Those would be the kind of things more that I would look at least at first, because it's so much simpler to go to the root cause. I mean, you don't have to go to a therapist to work it out. It's really more about trusting.
I did.
Well, you can.
I just did.
And that has extra
And
benefits
pay a
as
lot of
well. But it's about being empowered, to look after your own body, and not immediately thinking that there's all these other things that you have to pay for that are going to solve it.
And I think our members know that I got the eczema since 3 months ago, and then at the very beginning, the first or two strike, it was really bad. That I became like an alien, like a gray person, little gray person, and I was like really like two eggs. My eyes becomes like eggs, and every time the eczema happened, took over my body. And then later I found something really precious. really precious information that I have to look, because the eczema, I don't have it on my body at all. It only like here on my neck and then my face. And then I asked some expert, and how come my body? There's none. And is that because the eczema trying to tell me that I have to look at the problem now? So you cannot hide.
Right.
Because if it happen,
then you could let it go
then
for a long,
I can
long
just hide
time. Yeah.
under my clothes, and then I just ignore it.
Yeah.
But when it's on the face, when it's on the neck, and it's so itchy, and people can see it, then I don't want people to see it. So I have to deal with it, right? Yeah. And the body is very clever.
Indeed.
And the body knows that I'm a person who loves to save face, like most of Chinese. I'm sorry if you're one. And and I have to deal with it. And then later and later, because I have 10 times of the eczema, and every time it tells a story, and the story is so major that if I deal with it, which I did, that would have a transformation in my life. And the relationships quality will be much better, and then my self-worth.
So it becomes a blessing, actually, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Even though when it
yes.
happened in the middle of the night, like 3 o'clock in the morning,
yes.
it really didn't feel like a blessing.
Yes. And that's also how I treated, like I was telling you, the shoulder pain, because it was very irritating for a while, but I just knew that there's a reason for that. There has to be some positive reason. There's a positive reason for that. It's giving me a message, it's reminding me of something. And so just notice, feel grateful, and wait for whatever the result will be. Either I'll figure something out, or something will happen unconsciously also. I don't even need to know necessarily what changes. But if I try to keep covering it up, or if I create a distraction out of it, then I'm really likely to make it worse.
So but now, are all the pains are gone, or?
Yeah.
What?
Good, now. Dun, dun, dun.
So you can go to hiking again?
Yes. I didn't really stop hiking. You see, that was also part of the thing. I never got slowed down from my walking. So walking is, actually that's not true, a little bit, but not very much. Yeah. That would have been a killer if I hadn't been able to walk. That's so important to me. I also used a lot of, every now and then I also use Byron Katie. You know Byron Katie,
No.
The Work?
No.
Okay, so this is super useful also, which is, it's about questioning your beliefs.
Can you say it again? What's the word?
Byron Katie.
Byron Katie. Okay.
2 words. Her first name is Byron, Byron, Katie, Katie. And she has an amazing website called, I think it's called thework.com.
The word.
The Work.
The work.
Yeah, so it's about doing the work. There's worksheets there. There's videos of her doing this work with all kinds of people, and it's actually very simple steps. And I do that for myself, which is basically questioning the belief. Like, there was this one day I had been hiking, and I had a wonderful hike. It was a long hike, and then I had a fairly long train ride afterwards. And then when I got off the train, I could barely walk. Your body cools down, right? And then I got off the train and I had a 10-minute walk back to my place, and my hip was so painful. And then the next day, my hip was also painful, and I started thinking, oh my God, my hip, I'm going to have arthritis now, I'm old enough, and then I'm going to have surgery, and I'm not going to be able to walk. And if I can't walk, how can I live in Hong Kong? We need to walk here. It's such a big part of my life, and one of the things I love about Hong Kong so much. And then it's like
you can walk anywhere.
Catastrophizing.
Yes.
Right? Like, so my mind is making up this story.
You did that? I thought I'm the only person who did that. Oh my goodness. What is going to happen? What is going to happen to me? How come this and how come that, and what I'm going to do?
Yes. So I spent like almost a whole day, like I was really upset. And then suddenly I realized, wait a sec, this is just my thinking. None of it is true. It's all just thinking. And then I realized, oh, okay, just stop thinking about that, or let the thoughts just carry on, but don't give them any energy, Actually, none of it's true. And then, of course, my hip pain went away. The next day I was fine. And, so the mental processes can make physical things so much worse.
Yes.
So the more you're aware of what the mental processes are, then the more you can just stop them. And then, because you can equally think, I mean, it's equally true that my hip would stop hurting and be good forever. It's equally true. And so why not believe that instead? Then I can enjoy the day.
Do you use this kind of thinking in your coaching work now?
Yes.
Because it's not part of the coaching.
Well,
right?
Well, coaching...
To challenge our belief and then to question the belief.
Well, in all the years that I've been doing coaching, I'm always adding more tools, more ways. And in the areas of beliefs, it's very, very powerful. And also emotional stuff, the area of changing our emotions or handling our emotions in different ways. It's really, really powerful and really important. I mean, almost any change process, you're going to run into emotional challenges. And most of the work I do now is leadership development. And so there's always emotional issues. So when you're changing from, you have to start being more assertive or being a better listener, any sides of this paradox, there's going to be emotional blocks and changes you need to make emotionally. So I have a whole pack of tools, and then I bring out the ones that I think are going to be easiest for the particular client. So sometimes I bring out Byron Katie's tools, but they might not be the first because I would work on other levels sometimes. Yeah, there's lots of different tools. I like John DeMartini is another guy. He's got some fantastic...
I so love him.
He's got some really fantastic tools around relationships, and it's similar. It's all about owning our hidden beliefs. Yeah, owning our hidden belief systems and how they create our reality. And then once you see it, then the whole thing can collapse. And you're like, just my hip stops hurting. My back stops hurting. Because all of the mental and emotional framework that had created it was just seen through. It's like, I see you. You can't fool me. That's not true.
This is very powerful. I think one of the reasons why let me put it this way. I used to believe that I'm so healthy and I have such a strong well-being. I'm very resilient, that I hardly get a flu, that kind of thought.
Right.
But then when I turned 50, my thoughts started to change. I started to have conversation, and I heard myself saying like, oh, I'm getting old,
Yeah.
I have to sit down, And I sit a lot, actually. And then sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm losing hair. Yeah, because I'm old, that's natural. And then even lately, I started to feel, yeah, my hair is getting thinner and thinner. Maybe I should wear a wig or maybe a scarf.
I don't think so.
And then immediately I caught myself thinking that way.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Why are you going this way? Can't you think I'm very hairy and very sexy, I'm very healthy? Can't I think that way? Why should I feel like I'm going to, wear a wig?
Yeah.
Am I crazy? But I do have this conversation a lot. Now I can see that I'm always telling myself, I'm 55 now, I'm turning 56, and in 4 years I'll be 60, so I'm going to be an old woman. I'm even tell people like, I'm really old, you know that?
What I learned from Byron Katie is that the thing is that some of it's true, right? We are getting older.
We are not getting younger. That's
and
true.
What happens when you get older? Well, your body changes. There's no denying it. But how do we respond to that? So what she taught me is to fully accept and relish everything. And that makes all the difference. Now, so for example, for her story is that she's losing her eyesight. So how serious is that? That's something really...
There's something you cannot say, oh, it will come back.
Don't worry about it, right?
Don't worry about it, it'll come back.
So what she does is she doesn't worry about it to the extent where... And she tells this little story in one of the books I read from her about how she hears that, the doctors tell her, okay, you're losing your eyesight and it will diminish over this period of time, and within about this amount of time you'll be blind. And she goes... Wow, really? Cool. That's amazing. I'm going to be blind? What's that going to be like?
Oh my God.
And then...
It's just really positive.
Very positive, like everything, right? Everything you accept fully. And then the next day they say, oh, there's a new surgery you can do. So you're not going to be blind. So she's like, wow, really? Cool. There's a new surgery.
So I don't have to go blind.
I don't have to go blind. I can do the surgery. All right, bring it on. So it's about fully accepting reality.
I remember a few months ago, my health was really like bothering me, and then it's so disturbing in a way that I really couldn't focus at work, and then I have to really consider my finances because I've been not well for so long, and then I started to think, okay, maybe I should move back to my mom's place. It's empty now, and it's free, 700 square feet, newly decorated. And then I can move back to my mom's place. That saved me 15,000 Hong Kong dollars rental month, right? And then I can even close down my center.
Yeah.
Then that would save me 25,000 Hong Kong dollars, which is a lot of money. And then I can move back there, and then I can I can rent another place in Kwun Tong. That's only 2,300 something. Then my expenses will greatly decrease to a very small amount. Then I can relax and I can take care of my body. I can do whatever I want. Okay? So because I was so desperate.
Yes.
And I thought, okay, that's what I'm going to do. Okay? If nothing's changed.
Plan B.
Yeah. And then I asked myself, is that really what I want? Do I really want to move back to Zhangguan-o? No, I never liked Zhangguan-o. I lived there for 4 years, and then I just flee. I just escaped from that area and moved to somewhere else, and I never returned. And I love my home in Songjiang. So that's the first question. Second question, do I really want to close down my center? No. I think this center is very important. I love it here. So do I really want to change my lifestyle from Zhangguan-o to Kwun Tong, and now it's Songjiang to Mong Kok, right?
Right.
No, even though that will save me 25,000 a month. So I asked myself, do I really want that? No. So, no. Then I make a decision. Okay, I'm going to stay where I live, and I'm going to stay where I work, and there will be ways. There will be other ways that I can handle my situation. And immediately, I got a call. Like within 1 day or two, I believe it's the same day, I got a call from my property agent, and then they said, somebody's checking your property, and he really loved it. And I was like, yeah, but we were, like the property was out there for 6 months.
Right, and then suddenly it's going to be sold.
Nobody asked, and then they keep asking me to lower the price, and then we lower the price, and then they back off, and then another person come in, and then they said, can you lower the price? And then we lower the price, and then they back off. So what is the point to lower the price? So and then they said somebody's really interested in your property. So, and I was thinking, yeah, well, maybe just another visitor just checking. But actually the deal was done within a very short period of time. And now I'm staying in my apartment in Songjiang, and then I'm still working here.
So you still get to continue in this way. Yeah.
It's so interesting. Yeah. Okay, so the part 2 is also gone, and then we have to stop here for a while. Okay, so we'll come back. Okay, we'll come back. So it's the third part. Okay, so so after that back pain, and then you started to put that Baron Katie into your coaching material?
Oh, I had learned about it before. But it's just another one of the tools that sometimes I pull out. And then I'll come back. I mean, she wrote some new books recently, so I read those. And it was connected with another training I did about stages of development. Yeah, so lots of stuff going on for me all the time.
So how do you compare your clients back then, like 2 decades ago, and then now?
Yeah.
Do we like have different problems or different attitude? Or how do you look at it?
Well, 2 things, lots of things change in that time. So the world changes, Hong Kong changes, and I change. Coaching profession changes. When I first started, it was all what I called business and career coaching, but it was all individuals. I rarely worked with companies. It was mostly working with individuals. And then a few years later, then I started working with companies as well. And then only, I guess, about maybe 6 or 8 years ago, I decided I really wanted to get into leadership development, so I did some more training and did another assessment tool for leadership development, and then since then that's the majority of my clients.
What is the difference between personal coaching and then leadership training?
Well, it's not leadership training, it's leadership development, so leadership coaching, yeah. It's all coaching, which means its majority is one-on-one, and it's all about support and insight, and it's all about self-discovery, self-awareness and self-discovery, and then making changes, which is all the client's choice. The difference is that early on, my clients were self-funded, so paying for themselves. So they were in situations where they really needed to get out of the job they were in, or they really wanted to get promoted, or they wanted to handle workplace problems that they were facing. And when it's so in a way it's very simple, and I still work with many clients that way one-on-one, which is very nice because it's their choice totally. You know, they're the ones, just like you were the one that wanted to make a change for yourself, and you're willing to invest in yourself. Those are great clients. And sometimes it's a bit more complicated when it's the company investing in people. The company wants you to change in a certain way. And so there has to be alignment. You have to make sure that the client, that the person I'm coaching also wants, whatever kind of development. Yeah, I mean, those clients also, in a way it gives more variety when you're working with a corporate, because they won't all be as ambitious as the self-funded people tend to be. But they're motivated enough. Otherwise, nowadays coaching is well enough known in the corporate world that they won't put forward. Generally, they won't put forward people that aren't motivated, or that aren't people that they really want to keep and they really want to invest in. So those are really good people to work with too.
So we're going to go back to the belief system now.
Okay.
I'm thinking of something is in my head. I think the belief system thing is really powerful. I was in the Christian world for like 12 years. And then when I was a very faithful Christian that I go to church all the time without stop, okay? And I totally believe that anything you do that don't please God, you will fail. And then if God wants you to do that and God wants you to don't do that, then you will succeed, and it will be very tough on you.
Right.
So everything is because of God.
Mm-hmm.
Whether God likes it and God don't like it. And then I have friends, they are very, very, very faithful Christian, and they have a hard time in a career. And then in my experience, that lady friend of mine, her strength is not in selling.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she can try it, but it's really not her thing.
Right.
So back in the first day, like when I first met her, I already know that because I'm very good in selling.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can tell sometimes
Other people are not.
whether you are or not, or you can try harder, or some of them, because they really don't love money. Then you have a bigger why. Why do you want to be in sales?
Yeah.
Okay, so her career was going down and down and down, and she was like really deep in debt, and deeper, and then recently she got bankrupt. And in the past 2 decades, I've been asking her questions like, why do you want to be in sales? Why don't you think of something else? Try something else. She said, no, I'm going to stay here. And I'm waiting for God's sign. So I'm waiting for God to show me the new direction. If God wants me to move my job, then He will show me a way.
Right.
That's what most Christian believe. Like God will have His way, and God will open doors for me, which is true, if you believe it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then in the past 3 years, I've been so involved with Geshe Michael Roach, that the karmic system, karmic management system. So everything you want, you have to plant the seed. And you have to, like if I want money, then I have to give money away. So when I'm in this system, then I believe this system, then if I don't have money, then I know, oh, my money seed is gone, used up. So I have to go looking for beggar or people in need and to give them money. Otherwise, my money tree won't grow and then money won't come back to me. But if you talk to Li Ka-shing, he won't believe that. Or and then I come across some other people, they will say, huh? What? I have to give money to people so as to get rich? Why don't I just go to work? You know? And then for those who believe in law of attraction, we believe in that's the only truth.
Yes. You know, like I was saying, I've studied a lot in stages of human development, and so if you think about from children, obviously we all grow up when we're born, you know, and then we go through different stages of development. It's very well established in terms of children, and most people will believe that. But then we forget that actually people continue to grow or have the potential to continue to grow, well, always throughout your life. There's not just the childhood stages. There's also different adult stages of development. And so one of the stages that is very easy is a lot of people never progress past is this idea that there are rules and that there is a belief system that we can follow, which will then get us certain results. So this is what you're describing, and it doesn't matter if it's Christian or Buddhist or anything, that if you believe it at that level, then you will be very stuck in following that one set of beliefs. But if you're willing to open your mind, actually even a scientific view is more complex than that, because a scientific view will say, well, test it, right? Test it and see if it works. And so then we re-own our ability to do things by testing it in a scientific point of view. And then beyond a scientific point of view, then there's also another point of view where it's more like a combination of those things. So because the scientific point of view is only objective, but if we're willing to look at like what quantum physics tells us, that when we are a subject, that we're subject of something, then we are influencing it, then this is another level of complexity. So at all these different levels of complexity, you will get different results depending on how you're thinking about things and how you're experiencing things.
But how about love life? We said we don't want to talk about love life, but I have to ask it.
Well, you know the name of my company, right?
What is it again?
Loving Your Work.
Loving Your Work.
Yeah. And
Okay.
the reason that's the name of my company is because one of the main secrets that I always follow, or a belief system actually, one of the belief systems that I believe in, is that if you follow what you most want, that it will lead you into progress, and also it will lead you into being more creative and contributing more to others, because all of us, I think all human beings and probably all life is oriented towards wanting something, right? And if we get our needs met, then we will want more complex things. First we want food if we're hungry.
Yeah.
And then if we have enough food, then we will want something else. We want to play, maybe we want to learn, maybe we want to connect, all those kinds of things. Yeah. So I think that's it's a kind of a philosophy, I guess, around how I work with people. Because if you look inside yourself and find out what you really enjoy, then that will lead you in a direction which is natural, which is a natural way to use your greatest gifts, whatever they are. So like your salesperson friend, you know, did she enjoy sales? It seems not, right?
No.
Or she was forcing herself to do it, or she had made up her mind or something. But so the question I would be helping her to answer is, what do you enjoy? Because if you do what you enjoy, then it's easy, isn't it?
But I think she's working hard just to get away from trouble and pressure, because the husband was deep in debt, really, really deep in debt. So she was trying to help him out,
Yeah.
and so it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. I think I have a very deep. So when my friends talk about her charging system, she's charging a really high price, in my opinion, and not a bad thing, because I really like, wow, she's so confident.
Yes.
And she's only in the profession for like a few years, and I was in the profession for a long time. And I think I really feel like I should challenge myself when it comes to, like, when I was in the investment field, I feel like, yeah, because I'm in the investment field, I'm supposed to make money. And so I make a lot of money. And then when it comes to training, it's like, I think I feel guilty to make money out of people or my students, because it felt like wrong. Like, you're a teacher, you're not supposed to charge, or you're not supposed to have a really good living doing what I love to do, even though I know it's wrong, it's stupid, it's silly.
Right.
Okay? It's still, the numbers show up that deep in my subconsciousness, I still believe that.
So that's why we need so many tools,
Yeah.
right? Because there's so many layers. There's so many layers of that.
Because knowing is just the first step.
Yes. And then there's knowing at all different levels as well.
Yeah.
So because it's in your body, it's in your emotions, it's in your collective, it's in the people around you, it's in your lineage, the people before you, all of that. Yeah, so for a lot of us, it's a long journey of unpacking. Yeah, if we choose to. Some people just stay where they are. It's okay too.
So I started, because I used to run book clubs here, and then we're charging $99 for a set. And then I think deep down I did feel angry of my charge. And then I'm a very experienced trainer, and then I took lots of workshops, and have tons of life experience and written lots of books, and I do feel like I'm a very good trainer. But when it comes to charges,
you're not so good at that.
I'm not so good at that, and I'm so mad at myself, and that's why it feels so itchy. And now it's stopped, and so I have stopped everything last month, and now I'm doing something else. But still, I feel like I have to have a breakthrough here, because even though I'm not teaching, the trainers I'm promoting, they're still charging very little. So this part I have to break through. And then I have to break through. I have a lot of breakthrough. Things to break through.
Yes.
Oh, it's so interesting. But we are not going to talk about the love life here. We talk about something else, because otherwise we can't stop. How about, why don't we talk about the protest?
The protests.
Protests.
Yes, okay.
I think that's interesting
It
too,
is
because that's
interesting.
also deal with the belief system.
Yeah.
That we have to behave in certain way,
Yes.
so as to make the changes.
Yes. It also is about stages of development, because so what happened, maybe just to tell the story a little bit, was...
We're not going to name names. we're just going to, tell what happened.
Well, I put a post on my Facebook page and declaring that I wasn't going to attend any more demonstrations in Hong Kong, even though I've been to many in the past, and I'm a strong believer in democracy and freedom of speech, and I see very clearly the direction that Hong Kong is going in right now is not what I think many of us had hoped would happen, and so it's kind of distressing. And anyway, I think, but on the other hand, does protesting really do anything? In fact, I could apply this to a lot of decisions I'm making now in my life, is about moving against versus moving towards. And then there's two things. There's moving against and moving towards, and then there's also this kind of this way of managing time, which is saying yes to things that you don't really want to do, you don't deeply want to do, you don't 100% want to do. Because every time you say yes, let's say I say yes, okay, maybe I don't want the extradition treaty to go ahead the way that the government is wanting it. So you could say I could be against that. And it would only be one afternoon, right, where I would go and protest. And so it's not a lot of time, and I'm free on that day. But if I don't do that, what would I do? I don't know. But I could do a lot of different things during that time. I could have a really, really nice rest on that day, which would then give me more energy or creativity to do something during the week, which is really creative. So it's a little bit about really strict time management, like making sure that I only say yes to things that I really, really want to do. So that is one, and the other thing is to be moving towards things instead of moving against. Because every time you move against something, you actually add energy to the whole thing.
Yes.
Yes.
In my words, is you're feeding energy to the negative things you don't want it to happen, but exactly you're feeding energy to that thing. Of course it will grow and it will happen.
Yes. You know, it was so perfect because today I was seeing a client in Exchange Square this morning, and I was a few minutes early, so I went, they often have art displays there, and they had this really interesting display of architecture, like Masters in Architecture graduating class display or something. I didn't have it. I just had a little peek at it, all these models and charts, and I guess all the students had come up with some architectural design for something, and most of them, at least the ones I saw, they were all in Hong Kong. And one of them, I took a look, it was something like a design for a particular village in Hong Kong that they wanted to design the village in a way which would be really, environmental and good socially and all this, which would be very different from the way most villages spring up in Hong Kong. Most of them very haphazard, right? So it's not really good land use. It's not well thought through.
Yes, yes.
But at the beginning of the description of this thing, it said, why are we out there protesting against development, against certain developments in Hong Kong? Instead, let's design a good one.
Yeah.
Right? And so here, you can imagine how much work went into this design of this, a really well thought through good design of what actually has to happen to make a beautiful village, a beautiful, safe, productive, good, environmentally sound village in Hong Kong. It takes an enormous amount of creativity and energy to do that, and then actually to make it happen, again, enormous amount, right? Versus protesting something, it takes a very different kind of energy. Anger, fighting.
Oh, yes.
Rejecting.
Cursing.
Yeah.
Foul language.
Yeah. And then what does that do to everyone? Then everyone gets polarized and fight against each other. Yeah. And then there's no discussion. It's all you're wrong, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong.
And no one's listening.
No one's listening. Actually, it's a very primitive type of thinking or action. Whereas the masters, study on architecture, an actual solution. So this is the difference between moving against and moving towards. Moving towards takes a lot more energy, or a lot more sophisticated energy. And the results actually can come about, because even if you do 10 of those and one of them gets built, that's real progress. And that's real progress that others can point to and say, hey, let's do another one of those villages. That's really good. And it's then becomes easier and easier to make positive things happen. Whereas if you just spend all your weekends protesting, then it becomes increasingly polarized, increasingly negative. So like I said, we could say that, okay, one weekend for me, if I go to a protest or not, maybe it doesn't really matter. But on the other hand, if you add up all that time, that's something that I could create with my time instead that could be really positive, even if it's just not adding to the negativity.
So that's why Mother Teresa said, if you have a anti-war protest, don't call me.
Yes.
But if you have a pro-peace protest,
Yes.
count me in.
Yes.
Because I think it's perfectly explained
Yes.
what you think, what's your thought.
Yes.
And also, think about how much money we put into the anti-cancer, the fight cancer campaign. It's been like over 100 years.
Yes.
And how about the situation?
Yeah.
It's-
How is that working?
Yeah, how is it working?
Yeah.
It's not working at all.
Yeah.
The cancer, like people getting cancer, the rate is increasing, keep increasing.
Yes.
Because we are not spending money or the resources or the time, attention to the how to create optimum health.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and then it becomes fighting, and it becomes less and less productive. And yet, if we add onto something, then it was, what was the other example I was thinking of? Mother Teresa said that, did she? I forgot.
Someone famous, anyway.
Yes, yeah. Actually, I used quite a few quotes in that little piece that I put on Facebook that time. Yeah, because I'm not the first one to think of this. That's for sure.
I don't think you're the first one.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
our 1 hour is up.
That's it. Is that it?
That's it. Yeah.
Wow.
It's very, very quick. It's just like this.
Yes.
It feels like it just started.
Yes. There's more to talk about.
Yeah, it's more to talk about. And then I really have to go back, after I talk to you today, I really have to go back to challenge my thinking or my belief once again, especially when it comes to making money. And I feel like I can make a lot of money in investment, but I'm not supposed to make money out of what I love most, which is training, teaching, or even public speaking. And this one I have to challenge. And then the other part is my love life, which I'm not going to talk about here. We'll talk in secret with a cup of tea. Okay, thank you so much for coming to my interview.
You're welcome, Esther.
And then it's time to say goodbye.
Yes. Thank you. And
Bye.
goodbye.